Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Spanish for Gringos. I'm Mark, and this is lesson 5, masculine and feminine. This is just an introductory lesson to get your feet wet, address the questions of what is masculine, feminine, and how is it used, and to a lesser extent, when is it used in Spanish. In Spanish, someone's occupation, their job or profession, is gender specific. I'll give you 2 examples, a lawyer and a doctor. Well, if they're male, it would be el doctor and el abogado for lawyer. And if it's a female doctor, it would be la doctora or la abogada for a female lawyer. And generally, 99% of the professions will, if it ends in an O, it's referencing a male. If it's ending in an A, it's referencing a female. An exception would be dentist. A dentist in Spanish is either la dentista or el dentista. The Spanish always has exceptions to the rules. And in that case, to denote whether it's a male or female, it would be el dentista for a male dentist, or la dentista for a female dentist. Apart from that, pretty much every noun in the Spanish language is either male or female. There's a couple of exceptions. Again, there's always exceptions in Spanish. But a noun is a person, place, thing, or an idea. So there will be gender specific. Things like time, the day, the night, the month, the week, all that stuff is everything is masculine and feminine. So we're going to just break down some examples of words, what they mean and what gender they are, and then I'll give you some sentences and I'll try to briefly explain when and how to use these in Spanish. Before I get started before I get into it any further, I just want to mention that the general rule of thumb in Spanish, because there's like millions of words in Spanish. The general rule of thumb is if a word ends in O, it's masculine, and if it ends in A, it's feminine. But there are plenty of exceptions to that. It's just a general rule. It's like the 95% rule. 95% of the time you'll be right. So that's a general idea of when you see a word, because when you're learning these things, when you conjugate a sentence and a verb in a sentence and you pair it with an adjective or a noun, they have to match up. So if you're referencing a masculine noun or a pronoun like a man or a person or a word that's assigned a masculine gender in Spanish, then if you're pairing that with a verb or an adjective that is subject to gender, they have to match up. So we'll just get right into it. I don't expect everybody's going to learn this in its entirety in this 10 or 12 minute video. Okay, we got time here, and I hope you can see the board clearly enough. Time is broken down to second, the minute, the hour, the day, the week, the month, and the year. So in Spanish would be el segundo, el minuto, la hora, el día, la semana, el mes, and el año. So, out of this list, most are masculine except the hour and the week are feminine. Moving over to the afternoon is la tarde. The nights are feminine. It's la noche. That's table. I'm just giving you random objects. A table is feminine, it's la mesa. The floor is el piso. Agua is el agua. These 2 are exceptions. I'm going to explain this in a minute. But hand is mano, even though it ends in an O. And like I said, usually if it ends in an O, it's a male. But mano is an exception. It's la mano. So it ends in an O, but it's your hand is actually feminine, la mano. And then information is la información. Okay, and so I'm going to just continue with the examples, the sentences, and there's going to be some obvious confusion here, and don't worry, I'll explain it at the end, but we'll just run through it real quick. An example of the afternoon, and this is an example of how the noun has to match up with the adjective. So the noun in this sentence is the afternoon. That's the noun, right? And the adjective is larga, which is long. It's describing a characteristic about the noun. So, la tarde fue muy larga, which means the afternoon was very long. Notice that the long is larga. In Spanish, a lot of words, they can take either form, masculine or feminine, depending on the noun. So there's certain words that are definitively masculine or feminine in Spanish and that never change. And there's a lot of words in Spanish which the gender depends, and usually when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about the adjectives. Nouns are usually, well, I think always, definitively gender specific. But adjectives can change depending on what the noun is. So if I were to say the day was very long, it would be el día fue muy largo, because largo would change to largo. Okay, continuing on. La noche estaba muy oscura. The night was very dark. La mesa estaba muy dura. The table was very hard. El piso, the floor, el piso estaba muy duro. Same example as the previous, except the floor is masculine, so now dura changes to duro. El agua está muy fría. Now, we have a complication here. The complication is agua is masculine, it's el agua, but why did I put feminine? Why isn't it matching up? Why isn't it, if this is masculine, why isn't it el agua está muy frío? Well, like I've mentioned 3 or 4 times already in this video, Spanish language is full of contradictions. The simple explanation for this is, and believe it or not, a lot of native Spanish speakers don't actually know this. They know when to use it, but they don't know the reason. The name of the noun is masculine. It's el agua. But it never used to be originally. Originally, it was thought that water was feminine. It was la agua. But they didn't like the double A sound, the la a. They wanted to get rid of that. So at this point in time, water has always been conjugated as feminine in its sense. But they changed the name at some point in time from la agua, to avoid the la a sound, to el agua. So the name is masculine, but it's conjugated feminine because it's actually feminine, but the name is masculine. So hopefully that clears it up. So el agua está muy fría, because it's always assigned a feminine gender. Confusing, I know. El mes es frío. The month was cold, because it's el. Había demasiada información. There was too much information. Again, information is la información, so too much would be demasiada, because this word here is subject to gender. El día fue demasiado aburrido. The day was very boring. So, that sums it up. And when you have a masculine or a feminine noun, the adjective, it has to follow. Now, there are several contradictions left that I haven't addressed. And one, you might be asking, okay, up here, you said the afternoon was very long. And that means was. Then in the next example, I said, la noche estaba muy oscura. Again, I'm using that for was. And I can use one more example just because I want to confuse the fuck out of you. Actually, let's erase some of this shit so you can see it. I was a soldier. 10 years in the Armored Corps. True story. But the point is, here this means was, here this means was, and here this also means was. So why the fuck are 3 different words for was? Well, I'm not going to explain this in this lesson because this is talking about masculine and feminine, but I will address that in a later lesson. Yes, all 3 of those words mean was. How and when to use them, now that's a different story. I'm going to wrap this up and get it edited and get it out. Okay, peace.